Imagine walking into a hidden woodland where pebbles shine like starlight and twigs rise into tiny cottages. A world so small, yet so magical, waiting inside your own garden. Today, we'll reveal over 20 enchanting upcycles. Stones, twigs, and driftwood transformed into a fairy village where imagination never ends. Welcome back to Archon Aesthetic Studio, the place where gardens become stories and every corner hides a touch of magic. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, where are you watching this video from today? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far our fairy garden community reaches. One, Pebble Fairy Pathways. Imagine kneeling in the soft grass, tracing a path where tiny stones lead the way like whispers of forgotten journeys. Each pebble, smoothed by time, becomes a stepping stone into a storybook world. The pathway curves gently, not in haste, but with the patience of nature itself, inviting you to wander, to pause, to dream. As sunlight touches the pebbles, they sparkle faintly, like stars fallen from the night sky, resting now beneath your feet. Moss gathers in the crevices, softening the edges, giving the path an ancient, timeless feel. It's as if fairies once danced along this trail, leaving behind a memory etched in stone. There is peace in walking such a path, even when it leads nowhere, because its journey is the destination. A pebble pathway does not simply guide the steps. It invites reflection, reminding us that beauty often lies in the smallest details. And as the path unfolds, it gently leads us to the next wonder waiting in the garden's heart. Two, Twig Fairy Houses. Picture a quiet corner of your garden, where twigs, once fallen and forgotten, rise again as tiny homes. Each branch bends gently, tied together with twine, forming walls that breathe the language of the forest. A slanted roof of bark or moss becomes shelter, not for us, but for the unseen travelers of imagination. The charm of a twig fairy house lies not in perfection, but in its crooked lines and raw textures. Every knot in the wood tells a story, every crack whispers of seasons past. Set among leaves and flowers, the little house becomes more than decoration. It becomes a doorway into wonder, a reminder that even the smallest scraps of nature hold infinite creativity. As evening light settles, shadows play across the roof, and the house seems to glow with secret life. It's as if you could hear faint laughter inside, the sound of fairies gathering around their tiny hearth. And just beyond this home, the garden reveals another piece of its hidden village. Three, Rock Pond with Mirror Base. Imagine stumbling upon a tiny pond, hidden among flowers, its surface glistening like liquid silver. At first glance, it looks like water, clear, endless, reflective. But lean closer, and you realize it is nothing more than a mirror cradled by stones. An illusion crafted from nature and imagination, yet powerful enough to make you believe in magic. The rocks surrounding the mirror form a protective circle, each one unique in shape and color, like guardians of this secret spring. Moss softens their edges, while petals float across the surface, their reflections multiplying in the glass. In this quiet space, the world above and the world below meet, creating a doorway to something unseen. Such a pond doesn't need depth. Its mystery comes from its reflection. It reminds us that beauty can be both real and imagined, solid as stone yet fleeting as light. A place where fairies might pause to see their wings shimmer, or where you might glimpse your own reflection as part of their world. And as you step away from the pond, another enchanting creation rises nearby, waiting to capture your wonder. Four Driftwood Fairy Arches. Imagine stepping into a garden where two twisted branches rise and curve together, forming a natural archway. It feels less like wood and more like an entrance, a portal leading you into a story untold. Driftwood, weathered by wind and water, carries with it the memory of rivers and seas, now reborn as a gate to an enchanted world. The arch is imperfect, its lines uneven, yet this imperfection is its greatest beauty. Worn textures catch the sunlight, while ivy or wildflowers weave around its frame, softening the rugged wood. Passing beneath it, you feel a subtle shift, as though you've crossed into a different realm where time moves slower and imagination takes root. Such arches don't just decorate, they invite. They mark the boundary between what is ordinary and what is magical. A child's eyes see it as the doorway to fairy kingdoms, while to us, it becomes a reminder that wonder often begins where nature's leftovers are given new life. Beyond the arch, the garden opens, revealing the next secret crafted from stone and branch. Five Stone Spiral Labyrinth. Imagine standing before a spiral drawn not with ink, but with stones, each one placed with intention, circling inward as if guiding you to the heart of the garden's secret. The spiral feels ancient, like a symbol carved into the earth long before us, whispering of paths both physical and spiritual. As you follow the curve, pebble after pebble, the world around you seems to quiet. Every step inward feels like a small meditation, reminding you that journeys are not always about where we arrive, but how we travel. Moss clings gently to some of the stones, softening the pattern, while wildflowers peek between gaps, weaving life into the geometry. At sunset, shadows stretch across the spiral, giving it the look of a living mandala. By night, the labyrinth seems to glow under the moonlight, turning into a stage where imagination and mystery dance. To a child, it's the trail to a fairy's hidden home. To us, it's a reminder that nature has always been a teacher of patience and wonder. And as you step back from the spiral, the garden opens once more, ready to reveal the next creation in this enchanted village. Six Moss-covered rock thrones. Imagine discovering a throne not carved by human hands, but shaped by time, stone, and the quiet patience of moss. In a hidden garden corner, a cluster of rocks rises just high enough to form a seat. Draped in green velvet, the moss transforms cold stone into something regal, an emerald cushion worthy of a fairy king or queen. The surface is soft to the touch, damp with morning dew, yet inviting, as if nature herself prepared a seat for those who still believe in wonder. Wildflowers peek at the edges, framing the throne in delicate color. Sunlight filtering through branches above makes the moss shimmer, glowing like a crown of earth. Such a throne is not grand in size but powerful in presence. It becomes a reminder that beauty and majesty often rest quietly in the overlooked corners of life. Here, imagination takes its place, and even the smallest child can rule a kingdom of dreams. Step away from the mossy seat, and the path continues, leading to cairns of stacked stones that stand like guardians of the fairy realm. Seven Stone Tower Cairns. Imagine a quiet garden path where stones rise one atop another, balanced so delicately that they seem to defy gravity. Each rock is different, smooth, jagged, large, or small. Yet together they form a tower that speaks of patience and harmony. These cairns are not merely stacks of stone. They are markers of presence, silent storytellers of those who walked before. Sunlight brushes across their edges, casting long shadows that stretch across the soil. A gentle breeze passes, and though fragile, the cairn stands firm, as if rooted by something unseen. Moss may cling to the lower stones, while the uppermost rock glows under the sky, a crown placed by steady hands. In fairy lore, such cairns are guardians, beacons guiding travelers through hidden lands. In our gardens, they remind us of balance, of the quiet strength that comes from layering one piece of nature upon another. To a child, the cairn becomes a tower for tiny kingdoms. To us, it becomes a meditation, a moment of calm built one stone at a time. And as we leave the cairn behind, the garden unfolds with yet another wonder, a pergola of twigs where ivy climbs toward the light. Eight Twig Pergola with climbing ivy. Imagine walking beneath an archway so delicate it seems drawn from a dream. A pergola woven from slender twigs, rising like a skeleton of the forest. Though simple, it carries a quiet strength, holding space for ivy and vines that reach upward, wrapping its frame in a slow embrace. The pergola begins bare, its wood weathered and unpolished, yet with time the ivy cloaks it in green, softening every line. Leaves shimmer in the wind, and tiny flowers bloom between them, turning the humble frame into a living tapestry. Beneath its shade, the air feels cooler, touched by whispers of growth and patience. To pass under such a pergola is to step into a storybook, an entryway where the ordinary garden transforms into a realm of wonder. For children, it becomes a gate to fairy adventures. For us, it becomes a reminder that beauty often blooms where nature and imagination climb together. As you leave its shelter, the path opens to a burst of color, a mosaic of pebbles laid like a hidden patio, ready to catch the sunlight. Nine Pebble Mosaic Patio. Imagine stepping onto a floor made not of plain cement, but of countless pebbles carefully arranged into a mosaic of patterns. Circles, spirals, even simple waves. Each design feels like a story written in stone. The patio becomes more than a surface. It becomes a canvas where nature's fragments are turned into art. Each pebble, smooth and cool underfoot, carries its own shade of gray, beige, or white. Together, they create contrast, rhythm, and harmony. Sunlight glides across the polished stones, making them sparkle like jewels scattered across the earth. Between the gaps, moss and tiny flowers sometimes grow, softening the edges and reminding us that even in design, nature always finds a way to speak. Sitting on such a patio feels timeless. It's not just a place for a chair or table. It's a stage for quiet mornings with tea, for laughter shared in twilight, for memories that settle into the stones themselves. In a fairy garden, the pebble mosaic becomes a miniature plaza, the gathering place of unseen visitors. And from this patterned ground, the journey leads onward to glowing lanterns made of stone, lighting the path at night. Ten rock lanterns with lead beads. Imagine the garden after sunset, when shadows stretch long and the air grows still. Suddenly, a soft glow appears, tiny lights flickering inside stones, as if fireflies had found a home within. Rock lanterns, carved with small openings, cradle lead beads that shimmer like captured starlight. Each lantern feels timeless, as though it belongs to an ancient village where paths were lit not by wires, but by whispers of magic. The rough surface of the stones contrasts with the delicate glow within, creating a balance of strength and softness. Place them along a pathway, and the garden transforms into a corridor of dreams. Children may see them as fairy lamps guiding secret footsteps, while to us, they become symbols of warmth and belonging. The lights are gentle, never harsh, casting patterns of glow and shadow across moss, petals, and soil. In the hush of evening, these lanterns remind us that beauty doesn't end with daylight. It continues quietly, glowing in the dark, waiting for those who take the time to notice. And as night deepens, the path leads to smaller details, a tiny mailbox of twigs, where fairies might receive letters under the stars. (11) Fairy mailbox with twig post. Imagine a tiny mailbox standing quietly at the edge of a mossy path, its post made of twigs bound together with twine. Small, delicate, almost hidden among the leaves, yet it feels alive, as though waiting for letters from an unseen world. The box itself may be crafted from bark, acorns, or even a hollowed stone, each detail whispering the charm of nature's craft. A slanted roof of wood chips keeps out the rain, while a tiny opening suggests that messages, wishes, or dreams could slip inside. To a child, it becomes the mailbox of fairies who exchange stories at twilight. To us, it becomes a symbol of imagination, reminding us that wonder often hides in small details. Dewdrops cling to the twigs in the morning, and by evening, the setting sun makes the mailbox glow like a secret lantern. It doesn't need to be functional. Its magic lies in the possibility it creates, the playful illusion that another world exists alongside ours. And as your eyes move from this tiny post, the path unfolds again. This time into fences woven from twigs, shaping the fairy garden with rustic charm. 12. Twig fence edging. Imagine walking through a garden where even the smallest boundary feels alive with story. Along the paths and flower beds, rows of twigs stand side by side, bound with wire or twine, forming a fence so humble yet so charming. It is not built for strength, but for poetry, a line drawn not to divide, but to guide. The uneven twigs create rhythm, their tops rising and falling like notes in a song. Between them, moss and tiny blooms peek through, weaving softness into the rustic frame. In sunlight, the twigs cast delicate shadows across the soil. At dusk, they glow warmly against the fading light. To children, this fence becomes the walls of a fairy kingdom, enclosing hidden gardens where adventures begin. To us, it is a reminder that even the smallest scrap of wood can be transformed into something purposeful, beautiful, and enduring. And as the path continues, the rustic fences give way to bridges of twigs that cross over streams of pebbles, connecting one corner of imagination to another. "13. Twig bridge over Pebble stream." Imagine a stream no wider than your arm, its bed lined with smooth pebbles that glisten in the light. Across it, a small bridge of twigs stretches gracefully, simple yet filled with story. It's not meant for us, but for the unseen wanderers of the garden, fairies, beetles, or perhaps imagination itself. The bridge is built from branches bound together, curved gently so it arches like a smile over the stones. Moss grows at its base, blending it seamlessly into the earth, while wildflowers lean toward its sides, softening the frame. When water, or even just the sparkle of scattered glass pebbles, catches the light, it feels as if the bridge is suspended over a living stream. There is something poetic in its fragility. To step upon it would break it, but to look at it invites reflection. It whispers of journeys, of crossings between the ordinary and the magical. As twilight falls, shadows stretch across the bridge, and you half expect to see a flicker of wings darting across. Beyond this path lies another marvel, a stone well where stories of water and wishes converge. "14. Stone well with rope bucket." Imagine stumbling upon a tiny well in the middle of your garden, its walls carefully stacked with stones, each one worn and rounded by time. The circle rises just high enough to suggest depth, though it may hold no water at all. A simple rope dangles above, tied to a bucket no bigger than your hand, swaying gently in the breeze. This well feels like a relic from another age, an artifact of stories, of wishes whispered and secrets lowered into its depths. Moss clings to the stones, softening their rugged surfaces, while small flowers creep at the base, adding splashes of color. Sunlight dances across the rim, making it seem alive, as though a drop of magic could spill from its unseen depths at any moment. Children may imagine fairies drawing water to tend their gardens. Adults might see it as a symbol of memory, of drawing hope from the unseen. The well is both practical and poetic, an anchor in the garden that grounds the imagination in something timeless. And as your gaze lingers on the well, the scene shifts once more, leading to a swing of driftwood swaying gently in the air. 15. Driftwood Swing. Imagine a swing hanging gently from a low tree branch, its seat made from a piece of driftwood smoothed by time and tide. It creaks softly in the breeze, not heavy or grand, but delicate, made for fairies, children, or for our own forgotten sense of play. The wood carries the story of its journey, once carried by waves, now resting in the garden, suspended by ropes that sway with every gust of wind. Moss may cling to its edges, and tiny flowers sprout at its base, as though nature itself has chosen to decorate this quiet corner. When the sun is high, the swing casts a playful shadow on the grass. At twilight, it feels almost alive, rocking slightly as if unseen visitors had just left. There is nostalgia in its presence, a reminder of summers long past, of the timeless joy found in such simple movements. The driftwood swing isn't only an object, it's an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to remember that gardens aren't just for growing, they are for dreaming. And just beyond its arc, the path reveals a pebble bench with twig legs, waiting as a resting place for wandering hearts. (16) Pebble bench with twig legs. Imagine a resting place in the garden, not made of polished wood or metal, but from the simplest gifts of nature. A smooth, flat stone forms the seat, its surface cool to the touch, while sturdy twigs rise to hold it gently above the earth. The result is a bench both rustic and poetic, fragile in appearance, yet grounded in harmony. Sunlight glides across the pebble seat, making its textures glimmer like silver flecks. Moss gathers around the twig legs, weaving green accents into the structure. Around it, wildflowers lean inward, as though framing the bench in their quiet applause. To sit here, even if only in imagination, is to feel the weight of time soften. It becomes a place for reflection, for conversations with oneself or with the unseen visitors of the garden. Children might picture fairies pausing here after a long day of play, while to us it becomes a reminder that beauty often hides in simplicity. This little bench, humble and inviting, is less about comfort and more about meaning. And just a few steps beyond, another wonder rises, a spiral of stones forming a shrine where blossoms and silence meet. (17) Twig ladder on tree stump. Imagine finding a fallen tree stump in the garden, its surface weathered by time, its rings telling the story of years gone by. Resting against its side, a tiny ladder made of twigs stretches upward, as though leading to another world. It is small, fragile, and almost whimsical, yet it sparks the thought that perhaps someone very small climbs it when no one is watching. Each rung is tied with twine, uneven but strong, carrying the rustic charm of handmade craft. Moss creeps up the stump, weaving green carpets around the base, while tiny mushrooms may sprout at its edges. Together, the stump and ladder feel like the gateway to a secret house in the treetops, or perhaps the entrance to a fairy's hidden dwelling. In the stillness of the garden, the ladder invites imagination, a journey upward to possibilities unseen. For children, it is an invitation to play. For us, it is a reminder that even endings, a fallen tree, can become beginnings. And as you step away from this stump and its little ladder, the garden draws you toward another circle of wonder, a shrine of stones where blossoms gather in quiet reverence. (18) Fairy Shrine Circle. Imagine a circle of stones carefully placed in the garden, each one chosen not for size or perfection, but for its presence. At the center, blossoms and moss gather, turning the space into a living altar. This is the Fairy Shrine Circle, a place where nature and reverence meet, where silence becomes sacred. The stones stand like quiet guardians, their rough textures softened by creeping vines and scattered petals. In the morning, sunlight pools at the center, illuminating the flowers as if offering them to the sky. At dusk, the circle glows softly, shadows creating the impression of movement, like unseen guests gathering to honor the night. To a child, the circle becomes a meeting place for fairies, a secret ground of celebration. To us, it is a reminder that gardens are not only for growing, but for remembering, that every stone and every flower carries memory, meaning, and magic. It does not take grandeur to create such a space, only intention. And as you step away from the shrine, the path opens to the final wonder, a fairy village where all these pieces weave together into one enchanted story. (19) Enchanted Mini Village. Imagine all the pieces of your garden coming together. Stone pathways winding through mossy thrones, twig bridges crossing pebble streams, and tiny houses resting under arches of driftwood. One by one, they weave into a village, alive not with people, but with imagination. This is the Enchanted Mini Village, a world built from nature's leftovers yet filled with endless wonder. The layout feels organic, as though it grew rather than was made. Pebbles line the roads like starlight scattered across the earth. A twig pergola rises in one corner, wrapped in ivy, while a small stone well stands nearby like a gathering place. Lanterns glow faintly as the sun sets, casting warmth across the little town. Here, every detail contributes to the whole. It becomes a stage where the garden itself tells a story of connection, memory, and the joy of creating something bigger than its parts. Children see a playground for fairies. Adults see a reminder that magic exists whenever we give attention to the smallest things. And as night falls, this tiny village glows softly, a constellation on the ground. It is the perfect closing image, where imagination and garden meet in harmony. (20) B-roll closing, night lighting fairy garden setup. As night falls, the fairy village awakens. Tiny lanterns glow softly, casting warm halos across pebble paths. Shadows dance on mossy stones, and the arches of driftwood turn into gateways of light. What was playful by day now becomes mysterious by night, a secret world illuminated not by the sun, but by the quiet pulse of imagination. Each corner tells its own story. The stone well shimmers as though holding a reflection of the moon. The twig houses glow from within, their windows lit by tiny sparks. Pebble mosaics glisten under faint beams, and the shrine circle seems alive, humming with silent reverence. It feels less like a garden and more like a constellation spread across the earth. In this closing scene, the village is not just decoration. It is a symbol, a reminder that even in darkness, creativity brings its own light. That with a few stones, twigs, and fragments of nature, you can create not only beauty, but belonging. And so the journey ends where imagination takes over, inviting you to dream, to create, and to let your garden glow with magic long after the sun has set. As the fairy lights glow and the last pebble path is laid, remember, every garden holds a story, and yours can be just as magical. Which of these creations would you build first in your fairy village? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you won't miss the next enchanted idea. Until then, keep creating magic in your own backyard.